parking, but have that venue where you're saying? I would think that that would be the only reason people would reject, because then you don't have any parking lots, which is a big problem for the downtown area. Because
Well,
if you
we're
can't
already
park anywhere,
planning
then
on-
you're just going to leave.
We're already planning on, we're sending an email out on Thursday to all of our patrons that are coming to the Friday performance to tell them to come early because it's graduation and there will be no parking downtown.
Oh my gosh!
You
you're
see,
right.
last weekend there was a big wedding at the Sand Plum, and with our shows going on, you know, that lot fills up a lot. So that has been one of the items that has come across our table at the discussions with the Arts and Guthrie. So I'll make sure we bring it up again.
Yeah.
So are there?
I mean, because I would see whatever happens with that entertainment venue. I mean, we've talked about it here within City Hall that TAG's got to be an integral player in whatever happens with that, because that should be the preeminent contact for whatever goes on, and we know that, we see that.
What are the plans on who's going to operate it? Who's going to manage it?
I would think if everything goes through, that TAG should be the operator of something like that.
But who's going to make
it? Here, I'm going to build some bathrooms, and I'm going to give them to the city, and you get to maintain them.
Gee, has that ever happened?
Yeah. So the city's not going to manage it, maintain.
Don't know.
Okay.
We haven't gotten that far
well,
yet.
Those are the questions that I come up with.
No, we haven't gotten that far
Because
yet.
managing a facility myself, I mean, I know that you don't just open it up and say, well,
here you
people
go.
will use it. You know,
Yeah.
people will call me and say they want to rent it. You know, you have to market it, you have to maintain it.
Right.
You've got the lights and sound and all the tech aspects of it and liabilities and yada yada. I mean, that's going to be it's going to be a pretty full-time job if it's to be utilized the way it needs to be.
Yeah. Well, again, as you know, everything's still talking. But if TAG goes through as in the conversations that I've heard or seen, that they're the contact point. City doesn't want to duplicate that, but we want to provide a facility.
Would there be budget for somebody else to manage it? Would the city have a budget for somebody to manage it?
I've gotten that far, but yeah, there would have to be, some input onto that if we're going to
If you want somebody to manage it for you, then it needs to.
Yeah.
There's going to have to be funding for that.
If you added in the schools with it, like the choir director and the bands going with them, partnering and using it too.
Well, I'm sure they would want to use it, but again, I'm talking about management.
I'm just saying, if they use it, if they want to use it, then like if they partnered, it might take some of the pressure off of solely being the only people to be taking care of it.
Well, I mean,
they could have high schoolers going out there and helping maintain it.
Well, or charging a fee, a small fee to help go toward maintenance costs. I mean, that kind of maintenance is something you just got to routinely be on top of. You can't count on volunteers showing up. You gotta make sure that there's someone there, got the bathrooms clean, got the garbage picked up after the performance.
City doesn't own the WPA barn anymore, do they?
No, we don't. We're still carrying the note on it, however.
Ooh.
Could you buy that back and convert that?
It's possible.
And have it work one side, get it to open. Of course, WPA structure, you couldn't knock out a wall or anything.
No.
But it does have pretty good.
But you could open up because it seems to me like it has big. Doesn't it have
I think
big
it's got
doors?
some pretty big doors. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
on Harrison, on the front of
And
Harrison.
I think
you know,
so.
I'm sure that is a friggin' bear to heat in the wintertime. And maybe it's, I don't know if it's cold.
Well, you're talking about an outdoor, it's an indoor-outdoor performance.
Well, exactly. I mean, the
Yeah.
thing is, it would extend the season that you're talking about. It may not be in the dead of winter, but you could extend that season so you'd have a little bit longer. And if you get that thunderstorm that pops up on a May evening, then you got people underneath.
You got
it.
that? I just
That's not an interesting thought.
Yeah, I think that as Guthrie does grow into that music place where people go, we'll have to have a number of different venues.
Yeah.
you know, and, okay, maybe in the warm summer months, we have an outside thing. When it's cold, you know, pick another spot.
So who currently owns that building? I'm just curious, the WPA Armory building.
Well, right now Larry Ladd is paying his mortgage on that, and the city owned it before.
And he bought it, but they're not doing anything with it, right? I mean, is anything going on with it?
I think he's trying to put some things into it. I'll just put it there.
Okay. He has thoughts.
Yes.
So is you said you weren't sure on this location. Have other locations been suggested?
Right now, no. Well, I take that back. There's other possibilities, you know, across the street from Jelsma. You know, there's a parking lot there that the city owns. I mean, I'm going to parking lots that the city owns, so we don't have to acquire property, you know, and that's kind of constraining. You know,
Would you then, if you let's say you took a parking lot, is the idea that you would actually convert the parking lot so there wouldn't be any parking spaces in there anymore?
Correct.
Okay, I just wasn't sure if that's what the thought was. Okay.
Yeah. You know, so that we could create a stand or whatever you would want to
And
call
a
it.
seating area and all that stuff, rather than just sitting on top of black pavement. Okay.
You know,
Does the city own Banner?
no.
Oh, I was gonna say, it just burnt down, so.
No, yeah, that's
location.
privately. Although I think that you guys
Yes,
are trying
it
to
is.
keep it in the downtown area because of the core,
Right.
the core, pulling in people to the core area, the historical
Right.
significance, all
Exactly.
that stuff.
You know, so
Well,
that it
people would
brings.
still have to travel through here to get there.
Yeah. But then they get in their car and go home instead of coming downtown to get a glass of wine at, you know, Vintage 89 or something like that.
What if you created walking trails that go from the west side, like
Mhm.
kind of like that canal kind of connects everything together?
Mhm.
If you created something where people would want to walk and take a stroll through downtown,
It's a
connecting all of this area.
All it takes is money.
Yeah.
That's the problem. They did a safe route to schools. They did how many feet of sidewalk do they do for that school over off of up north? And it costs, you won't believe how much it costs to do sidewalks.
Oh, yeah, I do.
It was, well, I know, I'm just saying, you wouldn't believe it, Rebecca. I think it was like, how much was it for like 100 feet or so? I was shocked. It
We have
sucks
Where
up
was
money.
this?
It's the school, you know, the Safe Route to School grant that we got.
Oh, this one over here,
Uh-huh.
that still isn't done yet. That's 200,000.
$200,000
For
and how many?
sidewalks?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
200,000, and I think it was going to be 150,000 for 1,000 feet. We're not
I
talking
don't
about
know.
much.
Okay. The sidewalks that go down here on both sides of the street, from the temple to
Oh, yeah.
Wentz,
Yeah.
that's $500,000. Sidewalks are pricey.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
I know.
It was like
I mean-
I wouldn't have thought.
7.
Yeah, I know,
Oh, yeah.
I know. It's
7
just as concrete,
Yeah.
right? It's like just concrete.
No.
Forms. Oh,
They have to be engineered.
Oh.
Yeah, sidewalks are a difficult
You know,
issue.
they're certainly my passion. I would like to see just what you're talking about, but once I begin to understand the cost of them, it's like, oh my gosh, okay, how come, what do you do to do something with sidewalks where you aren't? I mean, I don't know, but anyway, it's a
Yeah,
hard thing.
and one of the, how shall I say, the pet goals that this group has had for years and years and years is sidewalks
To Walmart.
to Walmart.
Right.
And we had a plan drawn up on that was projecting $2 million cost
Yeah.
Yeah,
to get from Harrison Street to Walmart.
to
area.
Walmart.
Because
You bet.
utilitarian, there's lots of people who walk to Walmart.
Mhm.
Yes.
Lots.
Yes.
And
Transportation is tough, you guys.
I know.
But again, it comes down to, as you said, financing. How do we go about it? City doesn't want to take out a loan, so we.
Are there any grants that we could look into?
Yes, and we have. I mean, some grants are difficult because Division happens to be a state highway, you know,
Oh.
believe it or not, and.
And a lot
and
of them
some
are matching
grant-
grants. We would still have to come
Yeah,
up with a
right.
significant portion, which is just not in the city budget, unless we could, have we looked at allocating, you know, some year by year by year and build up a reserve fund for it?
Yeah, we could.
We might request that.
Yeah.
Well,
I
you
mean,
could always
when-
do it.
when you
You
look
could
at
always do
our-
a bond issue, right?
You bet.
You could always do a bond issue and put it on the ballot, and if the people of Guthrie felt this was an important enough thing,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the other way you could do it, is through bonds.
Mhm.
So,
What were you
Yeah.
starting to say? About-
I'm trying to go back on memory. Our capital budget for street repair and roads and that type of thing is running about, well, the money that we have for it is probably a little less than 200,000 a year
Yeah.
to fill potholes, okay, and stuff like that.
how did you get that chunk of money for that?
I wrote a grant.
Oh, okay, so you got, and I know you had matching funds because the Masons threw in money too.
Right.
Okay.
Usually the lowest match is around 80-20. They'll give you 80 if you put up 20. So we had to come up with $100,000 to match the 400 to make a $500,000 project. And when your whole capital improvements budget is just barely that, try coming up with 20% of $2 million. You see where it does get creative. So, ta-da! It's amazing with what we have, what we can do. But we do, as a group, have to get beyond, we can't do this because we don't have money. You know, okay, we've been singing that song for far too long. And then you're absolutely right. You know, 10 years ago, if we'd been putting, you know, part of that less than 200,000, put 10,000, put 20,000 away, okay, we'd be further down the pike. And this group, staff, council, all of us have to start coloring outside the box a little more. And we can't sing the song, we don't have money.
Well, but
Yeah,
here-
it's time to stop.
But that's true. But here's the other thing about that, and I think that's what I'm seeing here in Guthrie, is there are things happening now in Guthrie to get people outside, to get
Yes.
people interested in doing different things, and part of that is going to eventually be, we want sidewalks. It may not be next year or 2 or 3 years from now, but down the road, that's going to be part of the whole big plan. Because people see, yes, we want to be able to walk to Walmart, we want to be able to walk over to Banner, whatever it might be. So I think the work that's been going on now is starting to foster and broaden out. So
Yeah.
you have to take these baby steps, because all of a sudden honestly going to Guthrie residents and saying, we want you to pay X amount of extra taxes in order to build sidewalks. Most people will say, why? Because I can just go there in my car. And so you have to develop that feeling among them, like this is the right thing to do.
Yeah. Or what's that phrase, you can eat an elephant, and you do that by one bite at a time. Maybe we don't build $2 million worth of sidewalk, but we build phase 1, maybe out of 10 phases. And eventually you have that big sidewalk. And that may be the way to get it done, rather than waiting till it's all there.
And you know what? I just thought of something.
That's why you guys are here.
Walmart has huge grants that they give out. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now,
Talk to me about it, because